Hello and welcome to another City Council update. Today we're in District 1 with Jeff Bass. So Jeff, let's get started. I know it's been a fast and furious first year for you.
Hi, Dorothy. Thank you. Yes. So I was elected earlier this year in May to fill an unexpired term. And so my first elected term will last through May of 2022, when, of course, I will run again. My first year of term is to fill the term vacated by the Honorable David Givens when he became the executive director of Garland Housing Finance Corporation, which there's a whole lot of benefits to David being in that position, which if anybody wants to discuss, just give me a call and I'll talk to you about it. But my obligation is to represent the citizens of District 1 in the best interest of the city of Garland. My goal is to make Garland a place where people want to live, work, and play. And I'd like to discuss some of the things that we're doing to bring my goals to fruition.
And we're starting with the celebration we just had and what it represents for us.
That's right, Dorothy. We just celebrated a Garland Christmas at Firewheel. Our annual Christmas celebration was temporarily moved because we have begun construction on our new downtown square. Now, that's going to segue me into the next thing I want to talk about is what's going on in the downtown square and what other things are related to that.
2, 3.
We are remodeling, redeveloping our downtown square to make it an amenity that all of the city of Garland can be proud of. And it's important to note that during construction, the businesses around the square will be open and roads, not every road, but some roads will be open to traffic. And there's plenty of parking. There's even garage parking near downtown. So please come out and see our progress and support our local businesses.
Let's start, though, when we start getting into other things. Let's look back at almost a year ago in last February, this past February, kind of had a rough time for all of us, for all of Texas, not just us.
Yes, absolutely. So the winter storm in February really did expose a lot of opportunities for ERCOT and for GP&L. And so ERCOT has made some changes, and of course, nobody's perfect. So it's not going to be the best system possible, but we are working, GP&L is working, and ERCOT is working towards mainly better communication and trying to do what we can and what ERCOT can to keep the things like the February winter storm from happening again. So some things ERCOT has done is their communication. The communication now is going to be market participant focused. And market participant is somebody who gets electricity from ERCOT, such as GP&L. So ERCOT has promised not only are their communications going to be focused towards GP&L and others like that, but also that their GP&L will be notified before ERCOT makes briefings, and GP&L will be invited to those briefings, which, believe it or not, those things did not happen before. Crazy as that may seem. So those are some changes that ERCOT's done. Also, the communication is going to be in layman's terms to make it easier for you and me to understand so that I don't have to have a dictionary next to me when reading these communications. And that's also something that GP&L has promised, is that the communication is going to be in layman's terms. Other things GP&L has done, and this is where GP&L is such a benefit to the citizens of Garland. It's something that we all own. We're all a part of it. We are the customers. We are the owners. They don't answer to shareholders. They answer to their customers. And that is what creates such a great relationship with GP&L. That is why GP&L can offer lower rates. That's why GP&L has the best record of answering to outages and not having outages in the state. There are so many things that GP&L is head and shoulders above other companies on. And some things GP&L is doing to improve things that we learned during the February storm is, like I mentioned, communication is going to be made in layman's terms, but also coordination between GP&L and the city's public media relations staff. Coordinating those two together is going to help communication get out better to you. Also, one thing GP&L is doing is the feeders, which is basically how the power is divided up and where it goes to. they're balancing those better. I mean, as a city grows, it doesn't grow evenly. It grows in spurts and fits. So GP&L is going back in and looking at all of the feeders, all of the lines, and trying to balance the load on those so that we don't have situations where one area is getting overwhelmed and another area is not. And also GP&L is going to basically change the way those are controlled to be able to have those rolling blackouts, to make it more fair for everybody, if that's something that we need to have. Also, as far as communication goes, GP&L is looking at having a third-party call center help when their call center is overwhelmed. And we're looking at having the call center staff be able to work remotely as well. So, if you can't get out, they can't get out. But if they have the ability to work remotely, that's going to better help with communication for you. And Dorothy, I want to let you hint a little bit on what people can do and where they should go to make sure that they are getting the best communication they can from the city.
Yeah, I want to remind people that the information we're pushing out, we always push out our information on social media. And we have always worked well with GP&L, but we're doing things more precisely with more intentional as far as where things are pushed out and how they're pushed out. And our information will be available on social media. But the first place we post things is to the website. So I want to remind people that if something's going on, to check the city's or GP&L's website or both. In a significant situation such as we had back in February, it will be on both. In more localized short-term situations, your power information will be on Garland Power and Light's website. But one of the things I really want to push is having people subscribe to receive notifications from the city. There's on the city's website, garlandtx.gov, there are 2 buttons I want you to look for. There's a green one that says Notify Me. If you click on that, you can subscribe to a lot of different types of news releases, e-newsletters, alert notifications, and so on that come primarily by email. But there's also a red button that's called Alerts. And that is our Garland alert system. Some of you may have recalled that being called Code Red in the past. And that's where you get those urgent, time-sensitive, emergency-type notifications. And you can receive those via phone, text, and or email. And so those are that's where we will push things out like, we know we're about to get into a conservation situation for power or other emergency and urgent type messages. And one of the things we're going to do with those alerts in the future as well is if we know we've got severe weather coming, including ice and snowstorms, or during the spring things that we've got coming. If we know we've got that coming and it's looking like it's going to be significant, we'll be pushing out preparation type messaging on the Garland Alert System as well as on the city's website. So I want to encourage people to subscribe. The green Notify Me button, the red Alerts button. Those are really important places for you to sign up to receive those notifications. Those will get to you first. On social media, you're depending on those social media platforms and their algorithms. We can't control that. The other platforms are platforms that we can proactively push on, and you will receive those notifications.
Awesome. Thank you, Dorothy. Well, the next thing I'd like to talk about is our streets. We really, really want Garland to move toward the future. And your city council and city staff has realized that, and so much so that our street repair budget 8 years ago was $10 million. Now it's $30 million. So we are doing what we can to make Garland a place where you want to drive your car. And, because if you don't want to drive your car here, you're not going to want to live here. You're not going to want to work here. And you're definitely not going to drive here from another city to spend your tax dollars in our city. So we are dedicated to making our streets safer to drive and more hospitable to drive on. We've amended our sidewalk repair program. We started a sidewalk repair program where the city will pay half of what it costs to replace a sidewalk in front of your house. And that really wasn't utilized as much as was anticipated. So we've added some other layers onto that to help discount that even further. And you can find information about that just, again, on the Garland City website. It's an amazing website. Just go there type in sidewalk repair. It'll pull it up for you, and you'll see the different discounts we offer for that. Also, one thing we're doing is we are reconstructing railroad crossings. And one that's been done, if you want to take a look at it, is a Buckingham Road in Lavon. And you can see the way the railroad crossing is, the way the road meets the railroad crossing is completely different than what we've had before. And it's designed so that when it does wear out, it's easier to replace. I can't really go into explain everything that's involved in it, but it's different materials. And it's designed so that when it does need to be replaced, it's easier to replace, costs less money, takes less time, that kind of thing. So go take a look at that at Buckingham and 78, and you can see what's coming to many of our highly used railroad crossings. Also related to streets, we have our $423 million bond program, which the citizens passed in 2019. Those projects are starting to come to fruition, and one of them is technically District 8, but it's right on the border of District 1 here, so I know all you guys care about it, and that is Naaman School Road reconstruction from Brand to Lavon. I know it's a cute, quaint little road the way it is, but we don't live out in the country, and that road needs a lot of work. So it's going to be expanded to 2-lane divided road, and it's going to be, while the construction is going on, of course, it's going to be a little bit of a headache, but once it's completed, you're going to be so pleased with that. And also continuing on to bond program projects, we have another street one. It's going to be the expansion of Holford Road, going all the way from Campbell to Arapahoe. And that's such a big project. It's actually going to be done in 3 phases. And that is, if you want to know how much a road costs, it's a $22 million project. And like I said, it's such a big project, it's going to be done in 3 phases. And that one hasn't started yet, but it's on the books and it is going to happen. And, and part of being on council is my responsibility to make sure that these projects that you have approved do come to fruition and they do happen and we do get them done in a timely manner. So that's what I'm here for, to be your voice, to make sure those things happen. Also, other bond program updates, we have our animal shelter. Our current animal shelter is only about 70 years old. So, animal shelters really serve a different purpose today than they did, in the 50s and 60s. So we have a brand new, amazing animal shelter opening on Highway 66 just west of Centerville, and that should be opening very soon. And so if you follow me on social media, I will be posting more about that as we get closer to that happening. And of course, you can also check on the updates of that. You can check up on the updates of any of our bond projects at buildgarland.com. Another thing we have with our bond program that's beneficial to the entire city is a new police evidence building. I mean, the room they have now is really pretty much like a closet, not even necessarily one you'd be proud to have. So it's a long time coming. And, there's laws involved in police evidence and holding on to it and such. And we need to make sure we're staying abreast of, current policies and guidelines. So our police evidence building was actually the project that prompted that $423 million 2019 bond. So that's going to be starting pretty soon. Also, another big thing related to our bond project is going to be the relocation of 3 fire stations. Currently in District 1, we have Station 7 and Station 10. And if you've seen Station 10, it sits up on the hill there above Firewall Golf Course. I mean, just the most amazing views they have there. At Station 7 is a little bit older. It's going to be moving. It's going to stay in District 1. And then also Station 6, which is currently on Holford Road in District 7, it will be moving to District 1 as well. And there's already a sign up for where it's going to be at George Bush and Campbell. So it's not there yet. Haven't had a groundbreaking yet, but there is a sign there, so you can see that.
Let me ask you a question about this.
Yes.
It's important for people to understand that the locations of these fire stations are not guided by council districts. They're guided by being able to maintain excellent response at times to various parts of town.
That's
right?
correct. Yes, that's correct. So our fire department, Garland Fire Department, there's a rating service called, if I misquoted, I believe it's called ISO. But our rating is the top 0.7% of 1% of all fire stations in the nation. That's how good our fire department is. And a big part of that is response time. So yeah, these The fire station relocations aren't ambiguous. They are very well planned out so that we can maintain our great response times and our responsibility to the citizens of Garland.
Okay. I just didn't want anybody to think that somehow District 1 was getting special treatment.
No, it's just they're going. The fire stations are going where the people are, and they have to maintain those same response times. So, yeah, we're just getting lucky that one of them's moving down the street, and it happens to be crossing the border.
Yeah. So let's talk about, there was some extra funding that came to us this year, the ARPA funds, and I forever get that what ARPA stands for. It's recovery funds.
It's the American Recovery Something Act. Basically, so in order to stimulate the economy, the federal government has distributed funds, and the Garland had the distinct blessing of getting $53.5 million. And we went through a lot of projects. We looked through projects that were originally on the 2019 bond that didn't quite make the cut, kind of the honorable mention projects. We looked at new projects coming aboard. And we also, a big thing we looked at, because of course, we've all felt inflation over the past year and a half or so. And, those bond projects that were approved in 2019, they have also felt the effects of inflation. So actually, $22 million of that $53 million we have set aside for it was called a scope addition, basically to take care of inflation for our bond projects. Because one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to have the citizens approve something in 2019 and we say it's going to cost whatever, $12 million. Well, then we start on that project 4 or 5 years later, all of a sudden it costs $15 million. We don't want to go in and cut down the quality of that project. We want to continue to give the citizens what they voted for. So we have set aside a little less than half of those ARPA funds to be able to do that, to be able to give the citizens what they voted for. And, and the downtown Garland project, actually rebuilding the downtown square was the same thing. We had to prove an additional, off the top of my head, I don't remember, but it was a huge number. It was something like a 40% increase in cost. And we voted on it. We decided that, we want to give the citizens what they want. We want to give the citizens what they approve. We don't want them disappointed. So we're just going to do it. And the fact that we do have the fact that we have the funds and the fact that we have the backing of the citizens, we don't take that lightly. We want to be a good steward of what's given to us. We want to be a good steward of our money. And, and that's part of the reason why on some of these bond projects, we look at what the future costs are, what those maintenance costs are on those things. And so, but I digress a little bit. So we were talking about ARPA. Sorry, I get off on a tangent and I can just go. So our ARPA funds, actually I said 22 million, 32 million of our ARPA funds were set aside for the bond scopes. Bond project scopes. A couple things that are going on in District 1, though. We have North Garland Library renovations and the tennis facility at Tuckerville Park. And that's just going to be amazing. I can't say enough about what an amenity that's going to be once it's completed. And the way it's being designed, it's being designed for expansion as well. So as time progresses, we can continue to grow more tennis courts there, cricket courts, pickleball courts, or whatever the future may hold. That's being designed with the future in mind. And that's going to be just one heck of an asset, having that tennis facility at Tuckerville Park.
I know you were talking about growth. Garland's almost built out, yet we're still getting additional residential development and growth as well, especially in District 1.
Yes, we are. So there's a lot of new development. And, if we look at Garland, you can see the green space in District 1. Just like other cities, it grows out, and District 1 is on the outside. We're on the eastern and northern boundaries of Garland. So that is where the green space is. And we have the amenity of having a Firewheel Town Center, which of course is, it's a private mall there, but that is a focal point for the city of Garland. And there's a lot of land around that, and that's being currently developed, multifamily, single family. Just to the east of Firewheel, there are multifamily residentials going in, apartment complexes going in, and that's going to be right next to Firewheel Town Center. So those people don't even have to get in their car to drive to go whatever, have dinner or, get a snack or something or go shopping. So that's really nice. And then just on the north side of Firewheel, going to the Garland-Saxe border, we have Bunker Hill. And the Bunker Hill development it's going to be amazing. There's one subdivision there now of single-family residences, and there is another one that's just about to start going in. We've already approved it on council. And then the rest of the area is the landowners are coming together and working the development of it alongside the city so that it can be one big, beautiful, cohesive community. It's going to have amenities. It's going to have parks and trail systems that tie into our regional trail system. It's going to have, I don't even know everything it's going to have in it. It's in the future. The developer has designers that they're working with, and they're showing projects to us, and when we're able to give feedback, and the city staff gives feedback, and I got to tell you, there's going to be exciting things happening up there, and whatever it develops, it's going to be very impressive, and you're going to be happy to have that as an amenity here in Garland. As far as the Bunker Hill development, there's the only thing really set in stone right now is that all of the property owners are working with the same developer, and they've got a designer designing something beautiful for us. So, and then as soon as it's something that I can present and show, then of course I will.
Excellent. Now, you were talking about green space and the importance of having green space to develop, but also having green space to enjoy. And I know you were talking about those developers creating parks and trails that would tie into our trail system. We've had a lot of improvements and additions to our own parks and trail systems, because that outdoor activity, that green space, is important for us for quality of life.
Absolutely. Yes. And, and that's part of where, Garland, I want Garland to be a place to play. And, parks and trails are amazing because compared to other amenities, they're less expensive to build and they're less expensive to maintain. So from the city budget standpoint, they're great. And from the citizen standpoint, they're great too, because they're free to go to. You get to be outside. You get to let the kids run around and exhaust themselves. Or you get to take a hike in nature. I mean, it's just parks and trails are the biggest win-win situation there is. And some things that happened recently, we had the Winters Park Spring Creek Greenbelt Trail, which is a very wide trail. It's a beautiful trail system. In District 1, the 111 Ranch Playground, it's got repairs to the bridge there. And it's got some work done on the playground area. We have a new park, Bob Hall Park, in North Lake subdivision. That's a new park in District 1. That's a beautiful area. Coming soon, we have it's Garland Avenue Underpass Trail. So this is over there, just north of Hawaiian Falls. Can't get my direction straight here.
Yeah.
Between Hawaiian Falls and Academy, there's a bridge right there, right? Well, there's a trail system down there, but it's not connected onto the bridge. And so that's going to be done. Believe it or not, that's more than $1 million project just to get that through there. So the stuff's not cheap, and so it's not done. It's got to be planned. It's got to be done appropriately. But that's in the stages now where work is set to begin in January 2022. So that's right around the corner. And then even upcoming shortly after that, we have the Naaman Forest Trail Connection. That's a Dallas County supported project, and that's awaiting project specific agreement. And that's anticipated the design work's going to start in February 2022 on that one. So we've got all kinds of good parks and trail systems coming up too. I guess, related to amenities in the city, I want to talk about something which is not technically part of the city, but GISD. Okay, so I'm sure you've seen the GISD Natatorium, which opened a year ago, but officially had its grand opening in October of 2021. But the GISD Natatorium, it's maintained, managed, and run by GISD, not by the city. And of course, I have no control over it. The city has no control over it, but it is an amenity, and it's there for the swim teams, for the schools in GISD to take advantage of. It provides an economic boost to the city because it hosts swim meets and water polo matches and all kinds of things like that. And these people come, they need to stay in hotels, they need to eat out, they want to go shopping. So it provides a great economic boost. And also for our kids, it provides a safety factor as well. We have the GISD has in the curriculum for second graders, part of their curriculum is pool safety. And the kids actually go to the natatorium and practice pool safety there hands-on. So, that I guarantee it's going to save a life, and so just to have the foresight and the thought for them to come up with that and make that a part of their curriculum is just, it's amazing. And it's little things like that make Garland such a great place to be.
Well, and one of the things I want to touch base on too before we wrap up is you mentioned earlier about the changing balance of population in Garland, and the council just recently redrew some of our council district lines to maintain that balance. Talk about that.
Yes. So, of course, we talked about, Garland and District 1 is where a lot of growth is happening. So when we do redistricting, in order to maintain that balance with each district population, District 1 will be shrinking geographically. So that's going to be the area that's south of Castle, north of Highway 66, and east of Country Club, and west of Centerville. So that small area there is actually going to be going to District 2. And so right now that's represented by Councilmember Deborah Morris. And so they'll have really good representation. But of course, as council, we all work together. And if anybody there has a question or a need or a concern or whatever, they're always more than welcome to contact me as well. But yes, for voting purposes, that area will be moving to District 2 from District 1.
Okay. Well, and I know that you're right. Our council members do all work together to make sure that the citizens get the information and the resources they need to access, so that's always a good thing. Y'all are not a territorial bunch.
No.
Well, Councilman Bass, thank you so much for today's update. Is there any last words you want to leave everybody with?
Yes, Dorothy, thank you. I just want to say that it's an honor to have the trust of the citizens of District 1 and Garland. We're blessed to have such outstanding city staff and colleagues on council who are good stewards to our taxpayers. I promise to keep an eye on the future and an eye on the We must capitalize on our assets and make the right decisions for our collective future, our green space, trails, parks, and access to amenities. I'm always here to listen to your input and concerns, and I cannot promise to always make everyone happy, but I will always answer emails and return phone calls and listen with a concerned ear and do my best to address your concerns. And anyone can reach me by phone or text at 469-831-5620. And I'm always available by email at jbass@garlandtx.gov.
All righty. Thank you so very much. And thank you all for watching. And we'll see you for another council update.